Prabhakta Vrinda.
Recording in
Hare
progress.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We are going to continue reading from third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on chapter 25. We'll just do a short recap of what we read yesterday, 30 and 40. Would someone, are you all able to see this? The whiteboard?
Yes, we can see.
Would you like to read what we read yesterday?
Yeah, Neha, you can read.
Okay. Lord is Bhakta Vatsalya, loves his devotees, ready to give away himself also for his bhaktas. Point number 2, simply by surrendering to the Lord, all our sins are washed away and we get the highest platform to serve him, and at the end of the life, go back home, back to Godhead to be with him.
Jai. So we'll continue with text 41. Nanyatra madbhagvataha pradhana purusheshwarat atmanaha sarvabhutanam bhayam tivram nivartate. Motion of screen. Okay. So then, translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The terrible fear of birth and death can never be forsaken by anyone who resorts to any shelter other than myself. For I am the Almighty Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the original source of all creation, and also the Supreme Soul of all souls. The terrible fear of birth and death can never be forsaken by anyone who resorts to any shelter other than myself. For I am the Almighty Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the original source of all creation, and also the Supreme Soul of all souls. So we can see we try to overcome this fear of birth and death by so many means. You know, we advance so much in medical science. We are increasing our life, what do you say, the age by so much medical things. But yet we can't still completely stop this process of birth and death just by any of our physical endeavors. We can't. Even if we try to do it with mystic yoga, we may elongate our life, but still we have to die. So Krishna is saying, only one who takes shelter of me, only one who can take shelter of me can overcome this fear, this terrible fear of birth and death. Why? Because he's the Supreme Lord. Everything's coming from him. He is the Paramatma. You know, it's just because we don't want to have an easy solution. We don't want to approach Krishna. We say, no, I can do it. Why should I listen to Krishna? I can do it. And what we have to do is just accept, yes, he's the source. And so we just take shelter of him and everything becomes so simple. So purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. It is indicated herein that the cycle of birth and death cannot be stopped unless one is a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord. It is said, Harim vina nam mritim taranti. One cannot surpass the cycle of birth and death unless one is favored by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The same concept is confirmed herewith. One may take to the system of understanding the absolute truth by one's own imperfect sensory speculation, or one may try to realize the self by the mystic yoga process. But whatever one may do, unless he comes to the point of surrendering to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, no process can give him liberation. So what Krishna is saying, you take the process. You can take the process of Gyan, you can take the process of Yoga, doesn't matter. But you have to come with the perfection of Gyan or with the perfection of Yoga. You have to come to the point to surrender to me. till the time you don't come to surrender to me, you cannot get liberation. One may ask if this means that those who are undergoing so much penance and austerity by strictly following the rules and regulations are enduring in vain. The answer is given by Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 2, Chapter 2, Text 32. Ye anye ravindaksha vimuktaman inaha. Lord Brahma and other demigods prayed to the Lord when Krishna was in the womb of Devaki. My dear lotus-eyed Lord, they are persons who are puffed up with the thought that they have become liberated or one with God or have become God. But in spite of thinking in such a puffed up way, their intelligence is not laudable. They are less intelligent. It is stated that their intelligence, whether high or low, is not even purified. In purified intelligence, a living entity cannot think otherwise than to surrender. Bhagavad Gita therefore confirms that purified intelligence arises in the person of a very wise man. Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyate. After many, many births, one who is actually advanced in intelligence surrenders unto the Supreme Lord. So Krishna, he's saying, till the time you don't surrender to me, you cannot get perfection. And once you surrender to me, you are very intelligent. Till the time you don't surrender to me, you're not intelligent. He's saying it very clearly. And Prabhupada is giving the reference of the prayers by the demigods. When Krishna was in the womb of Mother Devaki, all the demigods from all over the universe would come and offer prayers, because otherwise they don't get the chance to see Krishna, no? They can never see Krishna. It's only sometimes Brahmaji may be able to see Shirodakshai Vishnu in Shvetadvip, but never Krishna. So they were all excited, Krishna's going to come. So they used to come, and in one of the prayers, he's saying that there are some people who think they have become liberated, or some people who think they have become God, but that's just their thinking. It is not the truth. Unless someone actually surrenders to Krishna, they cannot get liberated. So this is what Krishna is saying also in Bhagavad Gita. He just says, Sarva Dharmam Parityagya, just surrender unto me. Krishna is not saying that this instruction, just surrender unto me, is only for the devotees, or it's not for the jnanis, it's not for the yogis, it's only for certain people born in certain family or certain society or certain country. No, it is for everyone. Bhagavad Gita is universal. It is for everyone. What is his instruction? Just surrender unto me. Give up all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. This is what he's saying. Without the surrendering process, one cannot achieve liberation. The Bhagavatam says, those who are simply puffed up, thinking themselves liberated by some non-devotional process, are not polished or clear in intelligence, for they have not yet surrendered unto you. In spite of executing all kinds of austerities and penances, or even arriving at the brink of spiritual realization, in Brahman realization, they think that they are in the effulgence of Brahman. But actually, because they have no transcendental activities, they fall down to material activities. One should not be satisfied simply with knowing that one is Brahman. One must engage himself in the service of the Supreme Brahman. That is bhakti. The engagement of Brahman should be in the service of Para-Brahman. It is said that unless one becomes Brahman, one cannot serve Brahman. The Supreme Brahman is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the living entity is also Brahman. So what Bhagavatam is trying to say is that someone might think that they have gotten liberated, but because they are not yet fixed in the activity of devotional service, in spite of their being on the platform of Brahman, they cannot be on that platform for very long. They will come down to the material platform. Why? Why would someone who's already on the Brahman platform come down to the material platform? Anyone? And says, yes.
They have the desires because
They have,
the desires are root in their hearts.
even if there's still, they've given up their material desire, very, very subtle desires are still there. Very, very subtle. And also because they have no transcendental activity. A soul cannot live, cannot be inactive. Cannot be inactive. So even though if suppose one reaches to the platform of Brahman, then he has to do something. He has to do something, otherwise he will engage in material activities if he's not engaging in spiritual activities. So this is what also Bhagavatam is saying, that yes, one should understand, yes, I am Brahman. One should come to the platform of Brahman and then engage in the service of Para-Brahman. Para-Brahman. The living entity is Brahman and the Supreme Lord is Supreme Brahman. The Supreme Brahman is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the living entity is also Brahman. Without realization that he's Brahman, spirit soul, and eternal servitor of the Lord, if one simply thinks that he's Brahman, his realization is only theoretical. He has to realize and at the same time engage himself in the devotional service of the Lord. Then he can exist in the Brahman status. Otherwise, he falls down. So if we want to be permanently on the platform of liberation, permanently on the platform, Brahma-Bhuta platform, permanently on the Brahman platform, then we have to act as the Brahman. And what is the activity of the Brahman? Is service of the Para-Brahman. Till the time we don't do that, then our realization is only theoretical. At any moment, we can fall down again to the material platform. So the Bhagavatam says that because non-devotees neglect the transcendental loving service of the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead, their intelligence is not sufficient, and therefore these persons fall down. The living entity must have some activity. If he does not engage in the activity of transcendental service, he must fall down to material activity. We have practical example. Something or the other we have to keep on doing. We have a desire to speak, but the choice is ours. We speak about Krishna or we speak gossip. That choice is ours. But we can see if we are not speaking about Krishna, then we are speaking about gossip. So the soul always is active. It's not that activity is for the body. We mistaken that. We think, okay, once I get liberated means I will do nothing. Because we think we are the body. We think, oh, this activity is for the body. But we can see that once the soul leaves the body is dead, can't move at all. So the activity is with the soul. So as soon as one falls down to material activity, there is no rescue from the cycle of birth and death. It is stated here by Lord Kapila, without my mercy, Nanyatra mad bhagavataha. The Lord is stated here to be Bhagwan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, indicating that he is full of all opulences and is therefore perfectly competent to deliver one from the cycle of birth and death. So the Supreme Lord, he is perfect. He's full of opulences. So why can't he deliver us from birth and death? He's on the transcendental position. Why can't he take us out? For example, if we are in the ocean, we are drowning, and someone is sitting on a boat, and he gives us a hand to lift us up. Why can't he save us? He can bring us on the boat, right? He can. And so it is our intelligence at that time to take that hand and not say, no, I'm going to drown anyway. But he's on the boat. He's in a big boat. He can very well bring you out of this ocean. That's what we have to do. Just have faith in Krishna. He is saying, surrender unto me. I will give you liberation. You will come back home, back to me. Engage in your eternal activity of hearing and chanting. So he is also called Pradhan because he's the supreme. He's equal to everyone, but to one who surrenders to him, he is especially favorable. So Krishna says, Ye yatham mam prapadyante. As one surrenders to him, Krishna reveals to that degree. It is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita that the Lord is equal to everyone. No one is his enemy and no one is his friend. But that to one who surrenders unto him, he is especially inclined. By the grace of the Lord, simply by surrendering unto him, one can get out of this cycle of birth and death. Otherwise, one may go on in many, many lives and many, many times, and may many times attempt other processes for liberation. So here Lord Kapila Dev is saying, you just simply surrender. Just simply surrender unto the Lord. Tell him, my dear Krishna, please bring me back home. That begins our surrendering process. The moment we look to Krishna for help, the moment we try to understand, oh yes, Krishna, I'm turning him to help. For help means he's greater than me, right? That's why I'm turning him for help. So that begins our surrendering process. Our surrendering process begins when we start chanting Hare Krishna. Otherwise, we may want liberation, but it is very difficult, very difficult. Is that okay?
Just one question. If the soul reaches the Brahman, the effulgence, so does it mean that the soul is not engaged in any activity?
So we have to see if the desire of the soul is to just sit in the Brahman, effulgence, without any knowledge that there is transcendental activity, then the soul, after staying there for some time, will again get bored because the soul does not have knowledge of how to act. And the soul is always active. So if the soul does not have knowledge of devotional service, but the quality of the soul is always to act, will come down to act in material world. But if from the Brahman platform, the soul gets information, hey, you can engage in devotional service. You can hear about the Supreme Lord. You can chant his glories. Then from there, the soul can proceed to the Vaikuntha planets. But that is very rare because there's not the what do you say, the chance of the soul meeting a devotee in the Brahman effulgence is very rare, not easy.
So that means the soul is engaged in material activities in the Brahman effulgence too, right?
No. So once the soul gets the desire to engage in any activity, see, the soul is always active, right?
Yeah.
Soul is always active. Now, I've reached to the Brahman platform, for example. I'm just saying, so if I have reached there, but I have no information about Krishna. I have no information, but I'm sitting there. I'm feeling happy for sure, of course. Brahman platform, you feel happy. There's bliss just by understanding I'm the soul. And so I'm feeling very happy understanding I'm the soul. And I'm not here anymore in this material world. I've given up my body and I'm sitting in the Brahman. And I'm continuing to think, yes, I'm very happy and I'm the soul. I'm very happy and I'm the soul. But what happens is, I need to act. I can't be on that platform for a very long time. That yes, I'm happy, I'm the soul, I'm happy, I'm the soul. But then there comes a point, okay, but what do I have to do? I have to do something. The activity is there in the soul. Soul is never inactive. And because I do not have information about Krishna and I have a desire to act, then automatically my desire is going to be only material. So I will come back to the material world.
So that
But
means
if
the soul is
somehow
there
or
for
the
very
other,
short time. So the soul is there for short time because it needs to act, right? It has to do some activity. Unless it doesn't engage in transcendental, in devotional service, that means it's going to fall down immediately, right?
That's right. So that's right. That's why it's called temporary. That's why that liberation is called temporary. So it could be for a long time also. It could be somebody can sit like that for maybe in the soul platform for, I don't know, maybe 1,000 years, maybe million years. But at one point, the soul will say, okay, enough. I understand I'm the soul and I understand I'm very happy, but I need to act. The soul has to act. Like sugar is going to be sweet no matter what you do to it. So whether quickly or after very long, it will act. But because it does not have information about Krishna, it will act on material platform. So then act on material platform means come to the material world. But if by some good fortune, the soul meets a devotee, hears about Krishna, hears, immediately the soul will get attracted. Why? Why the soul will get immediately attracted? Because that's the eternal activity of the soul. Like the four Kumaras, they were Brahmavadi. But as soon as they smelled the tulsi leaves, they became pure devotees. Or Sukadev Goswami, he was impersonalist. He was on the platform of the soul. But as soon as he heard Bhagavatam, he became a pure devotee. Like that. So once come to the point of liberation, if one hears about Krishna, at once will become a devotee. But then at that point, it's not easy in the Brahman platform to meet a devotee there. Yeah. And so that's the reason Krishna says that you just surrender to me, you will get liberation. He's saying, don't separately try for liberation. You surrender to me. And that for sure will bring you to liberation. And then when you get liberated, you will know how to act. You will know what you're supposed to do so that you don't come here back to the material world. You can proceed to the spiritual planets. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. And Krishna himself says in the Bhagavad Gita that pure devotional service begins from the platform of liberation. Pure devotional service. That because the soul has understood, yes, I'm not the body, I'm the soul. And my eternal activity is to engage in the service of the Supreme Soul. So, and he has no material desire at that point. So he takes up the pure devotional service. And we can come to that platform, yes, by hearing and chanting. We just have to hear and chant because that is the eternal activity of the soul. Is that okay?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your nice question. Shall we put down what we read today? As a kind of a recap?
Yeah.
Does anyone remember?
Surrender unto the Supreme Lord. See?
And you can come over the fear of birth and death.
By surrender,
Yeah, by surrender.
can overcome the fear of birth and death.
And
By
we can take,
surrender, get liberated.
yeah, and we can take any process, Gyan Yoga or Dhyan Yoga, but you need to surrender.
Has to come to the point to surrender,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And Krishna says that is Krishna's instruction in Bhagavad Gita. So for everyone. For anyone and everyone.
And you can
It's
also add
not
this
only
one.
for, I'm sorry?
No. Yeah, first you say, then I'll say, yeah.
Like it's not only, oh, because I'm a devotee, I am going to surrender. No, for anyone and everyone, every soul. This instruction is for every soul, everyone. Just surrender. And what were you saying? Sorry.
I said that the moment we turn him for help, that is surrender begins. Our surrender begins.
To Krishna for help begins our surrender, right?
Yeah.
Begins our surrender. Our process of surrender begins our surrender. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you.